Welcome to the Pine Aromathology meditation. Hopefully you have a little bottle of pine at your disposal. If you don't worry, you might be able to get a bit of fir or pine or some kind of conifer from the garden, or it's fine to do the meditation even without the essential oil, but the essential oil will certainly take you deeper. So in a moment I will start talking and it will come up on the screen saying close your eyes. I would like you to listen to the rest of the meditation, simply wafting, I can't get the top off, below your nose. Now it is a half an hour meditation, so if there are times when you think I've had enough of that, feel free to just put that down in front of you. Just allow the molecules to surround you as if you were in a forest. And so, close your eyes. Approximately 90 different species of pine grow through the world. Their woods have been used for building, their sap for healing, pine nuts for eating, making them one of the planet's most versatile trees. Pines are beloved in construction because of how gloriously straight the wood is. But sometimes these trees can be crooked, and this happens because of increased geomagnetic activity where they grow. In Slavic folklore, forests with gnarly pines are considered bad places, and that evil will befall anyone who visits them. Several of these crooked trees grow on the Bald Mountain in Kiev, Ukraine. In northern Russia, the pine is considered a benevolently protective tree, a donor tree that gently shares its energy, although it's said it gives just enough and never more than necessary. Russians make charms and amulets out of pine wood to transform indifferent and unfriendly people into friends. Likewise, they use it to make wands and spindles to use in spinning magic, to cast protective circles around themselves and their property. The Buryats are a shamanistic people who inhabit the mountains surrounding the southern half of Lake Baikal in South Siberia and the Mongolian steppes. They speak a language belonging to the Mongol branch of the Altaic language family, and they follow an animistic tradition. The groves of Scots pine trees scattered over the grasslands of eastern Siberia are sacred to the Buryats. These groves, known by the locals as shaman forests, are entered with reverence, the people respectful of the gods and spirits who inhabit them. In Slavic folklore, the tutelary spirit of the forest is called a Leshy. Masculine and humanoid in shape, the Leshy can assume any likeness it desires and can change its size and height. Known for his propensity to lead travellers astray, he has a neutral disposition towards people, depending on their attitudes and behaviour towards the forest. Pine is a merciful tree. Only those whose souls are open can contact it. It cleanses one's aura of negativity, restores immunity, and rids depression. The keynote of its lessons include emotional protection and healing, balance of strength and softness, vitality and continuity. Pine is a sentinel tree and contains the lessons of the spiritual warrior. Associated with peace of all forms, pine is not only interested in interhuman relationships, but relationships with the past and restoring peace between the earth and humanity. It's a kind and sensitive species of tree and loves to have contact with humans. It speaks easily, opening up to those with open hearts in a voice that speaks readily to our minds. I do have one word of warning about working with pine though. Mind your P's and Q's, be careful of what you tell them. Pine is well known for being a terrible secret keeper, gossiping to the birds and bees in whispers on the breeze. In the magical Ogham language, the symbol Alim translates to pine, fir or conifer. Alim associates with healing, protection and purification, with wayfinding, whether that be finding one's life purpose, finding a new home, setting one's feet upon a spiritual path, or finding a safe place to rest. In the Americas, the Iroquois people tell of a heinous conflict between 5 warring nations. The battles, rooted in cycles of chaos, revenge and pain, brought heartbreak to many for years. Great Spirit sent a messenger, a peacemaker, to unite the 5 tribes. The peacemaker was persuasive. The warring nations were inspired to come together, but still they would not put down their weapons. The peacemaker tried many things to convince them of the dangers of this action, but the nations were strong in resolve. If one would not put them down, then weapons would continue to be carried by the many. Who was brave or stupid enough to put them down first, they wanted to know. The peacemaker thought long and hard, and then called them together and dramatically uprooted a pine tree. He challenged them, "Throw down your weapons into the huge hole." And they did. And the pine tree was replanted, and underwater waters stole away the tools of war. Even today, needles grow in clusters of 5 on the pine tree, representing, they say, the 5 nations who found peace. The tree spread out its roots far across the 4 directions of the globe, and even still, the pine roots are called roots of peace. Let us go into the forest and learn some of the skills of the spiritual warrior from the pine. And so, I want you to become very aware of your breath, how it moves in and out of the body. Light and gentle breaths, as if drifting on the crest of a wave. Each breath inwards, taking you deeper and deeper into yourself. and allowing your attention to drop down to the womb space of the mind. We all have this space. Women who have had hysterectomies still retain this sacred place of darkness, the void of mystery. Men have the Hara energy in that space, a place of great intuition and oracular power. The place that joins us in energy with all other species on the planet. The cosmic connection with the earth, with the cosmos, and the universe at large. Feel your attention drop down into your womb. And so, for very obvious reasons, we are going to protect ourselves very, very carefully. So I want you to imagine a giant hexagon surrounding your body, a golden hexagon locking you in on all 6 sides. I want you to imagine beautiful clear nectar being dripped over you, and then I want you to imagine yourself surrounded by honey and the hexagon being capped. The cap protecting the nymph and the honey and allowing nothing to get in. See that hexagon. Okay? Find yourself in the forest. Perhaps you can hear the birds singing or the buzzing of the odd bee. And as you walk, keep an eye out for the leshy. Whisper his name and maybe call out to him and tell him why you are in the forest. Find yourself a beautiful and very straight pine tree, but one whose roots are a little lifted and gnarly that may give you entry into the earth. When you find it, put your hands upon the tree and notice how thick the bark is. Almost like armour, it will give you protection. And as you do so, perhaps you might notice, Melissa, bees nipping in and out of the trees. Perhaps you find a hole. Can you find a hole in the tree beneath the roots, an axis mundi into the ground? With breath, will, and imagination, I want you to find your way into the tree. With breath, will, and imagination, I want you to find your way into that tree. With breath, will, and imagination. there are roots. The roots of peace. Imagine that you can feel these roots drawing up energy from the Earth star. Hear the voices of the ancestors moving the locus of the war along the mycelium. When you're ready, look up and you notice there is a hole that will allow you to move up into the tree, up into the trunk, the heart of the tree. With breath, will and imagination, I want you to crawl up into the heart of the tree. Pine awakens the divine spark that resides within the human heart chakra. Shamanistic traditions of Japan, China, and Korea all venerate the pine as a source of virtue, longevity, and masculine power. The myths of the Shinto religion say that pines are ladders used by gods to ascend to heaven. Its Japanese name translates loosely to waiting for the soul of the gods to descend from heaven. The tree is seen as a gate through which deities channel blessings to earthly dwellers. Its English name comes from a Greek word that translates as pain. It understands pain deeply and seeks to alleviate it on many levels. Its fragrance emotionally soothes and can lift dark moods. And so we'll move up into the branches. And of course, evergreen worship is a big part of the Christian religion, particularly at the Christmas festival, but worship of evergreens predates Christianity, as evidenced in sites from ancient Greece and Rome. To the Greek oracles, the rustling of oak trees and evergreens were believed to be the voice of Zeus. Their evocative qualities, their size, magnificence and longevity inspire a deep sense of awe, understood as the presence of spirit. Notice how sticky the branches are. Pine sap draws out infection, splinters, poisons, and any kinds of things that are unwanted in the body. Allow it to draw out your pain. Disinfect festering wounds and to allow peace to flow within you. Imagine the volatiles moving into your lungs, out through the pulmonary walls and spreading through the capillaries, cleansing and purifying you to continue your work for peace, to continue so nothing else can work its way back in. See if you can feel the sap moving under the pull of the moon. On this first quarter of the moon, it is rising as the moon affects Earth's water, and when she reaches her fullest, the sap will drop down again. Sail on this growing energy, this gift from outer space. First quarter of the moon is the spark of magic that turns dreams into action. Pine heightens psychic sensitivity, reminding us never to work from areas of guilt or to allow others to overly influence or manipulate us. Eagles land on its highest branches, looking down and protecting the roots of peace. When in the mornings, birds manifest the next day's story of creation in their song, they listen to secrets whispered through the needles of pine. Climb up and look below. From this lofty position way above most other trees, pine reminds us to reconsider the big picture, to take an overview, encouraging objectivity and far-sightedness. It reminds us that the best decisions come from taking as clear a perspective as possible. Cleanse yourself of negativity. There is no need to dwell on mistakes or to apportion blame. Breathe in the symbol of the elevated mind and energy of the spiritual warrior. Allow it to combine with your own special energy. Now, whisper to Pine what secrets you'd like him to deliver to the birds. What songs of peace would you like them to twitter in the morning? How would the bees be best employed to sting and use venom? as we enter this new astrological period of Mars in Aquarius, the spiritual warrior, this time astrologically marks an end to top-down governance and the uniting of humanity. We ask Pine to remain with us in our quest for peace. We pray that our prayer will be answered and that peace will soon be brokered. But then the question is heard, what next? What of the displaced families or the soldier with no fight left? Pine understands the in-breath, that gasp of fear and terror. Moments of horror that scar our lungs and leave us forever breathless. Deliberately breathe. Breathe the pine. Force those molecules deep into your tissues. Remember this. Remember this for when you are visited by someone who might need it. And so sadly, our forest bathing must come to an end. Thank the tree and find your way down the trunk and out of the hole. Thank the surrounding trees and the forest, and call out to the Leshy to thank him so that he's generous enough to show you the way home. Wander through the forest until you see a gate out. Go through the gate and find yourself back in your chair. Feel that beautiful golden hexagon surrounding you, filling up with nectar, purifying your aura and removing any negativity off. Sit down hard in your haunches, sink down into your chair, feel yourself back in your body. Wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and just for a moment, feel very proud to have worked as an aromatic earth steward. When you're ready, open your eyes.